Hello, everyone. I'm Chandler. You can call me many names, as long as they're not derogatory or mean. But hey, freedom of speech is freedom of speech. But to me, not freedom of consequence. So, um, what else? Hey, and I guess I'll say what you're probably seeing me from. My beliefs, what I plan to do here potentially. But that just depends on if I get a lot of support or if I feel passion or all sorts of things. Um, I generally believe in leftist principles, but I kind of don't like the fact that, empathy could be viewed as a leftist ideology. Um, as I also have some things like I don't believe that the federal government or just government in general should have so much consolidated power. Um, I also, I like the right to bear arms and so on and so forth. I feel like, uh, labels are kind of too, you distill things down a little too much and it doesn't explain everything. It also doesn't do good on a person's character to just boil it down like that. For instance, I believe we should have more political parties in the US and hey, in other places of the world as well. I'm not too informed. Inform me. I'd like to learn. Uh, if you have any good political or, informative things, I would like to hear about it. Give me some books, give me some channels, and I'll go support that. Uh, I like to take in as much knowledge as I can, but what else? Um, I'm accepting of others. I don't care if anyone is religious or not, what religion they believe in, their race, their identity. As long as they're a good person, I think of Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. I think of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. But, I recognize that my country was founded on imperialism and colonialism, which is very toxic. But, that's the reason why I kind of give a pushback in, far right extreme ideology, as in, we punted out the Native Americans here, and then now we don't like immigrants coming in. To me, that seems hypocritical. Um, but moving on, uh, I guess I be considered agnostic. I kind of don't know what is out there, right? All I could do is just be as best a person as I can. I don't like when I get preached to. I don't want to specifically ascertain to any specific religion. But I wouldn't mind learning whatever may be in whatever books or practices that they do, for instance. Like I like the things that Jesus did, but was was Jesus around? Who were the apostles? How have the words translated over time? How long have people been around, right? I like a while back, I've come to find, humans have been around for a long time, and we had ancestors that were similar to us who've been around for a long time. You know, like I'm talking hundreds of thousands of years. Imagine how different the world was 50 years ago, 50 years from that, so on and so on and so on, and it is just insane, isn't it? But that's a reason why I think it is good to, you have to advocate and push for positivity as hey, it hasn't always been like this and things have gotten to negative places and they could change and go back and I think it's just important to support your neighbor, do things like this. I myself am thinking about also donating my platelets for cancer. Because I can. I'll see how that feels. Hopefully, it doesn't feel crappy. Fear of needles. Now you know that. What else? You're probably seeing this from the. You call me. Was it? They call me Sonic. Yeah, they call me Sonic. And this guy, he like remastered a 240p video from '95, I believe, or No, it was just early YouTube, but the music came from 95. Comes from 95. And he remastered it, like upscaled it, and also gave it better audio quality in the CD. So, but that unfortunately has been associated with extremist ideology, far rightism, racism. So I've been just feeling the need to push out positivity as much as I can, and kind of annoy the oppressors and support the oppressed. Uh, and if, for instance, it's a bit weird to bring this up, but if what I believe is apparently wrong, I've chosen the wrong thing, and I go to hell, then I don't care. I've tried to be a good person my whole life. If there is a creator of some specific form of whatever religion he deems me, oh, well, you didn't believe in me, you're going down. Then whatever. We're on this earth for a limited time, at least that I know of for certain. And I think it's important to promote positivity and acceptance and inclusivity and all sorts of things as much as you can. More on, like I'm a musician, right? Unfortunately, classical music is just music in general in the West is very skewed towards, I want to say, just colonialism. There's like white supremacy within classical music, only showing off Germanic composers and stuff like that. There's also Orientalism in that the only a few scales, like literally two, that's being used, and I want to be more general, but not super specific. The Middle East, and they mismatch different instruments from different regions. It just weighs if you were from the Middle East or any one country, they would be very critical of how that's being done. So I think I'm going to learn more about the world, like music around the world, music theory around the world in general, and how I could approximate that on my instrument of choice, which is the guitar. I do have the ability to bend, to give me more notes, as in the Western system we only have 12, but I believe in Indian they have 24, and some there's even more than that, and also there's just whole systems that are, they're not associated with even the Middle East themselves, like just very, very new wave music. So I think it'd be good for me to just kind of experiment and be more in touch with the world that way too, and kind of put out more, I guess. What would be a good? I don't know. Just put out just good music that perhaps could be appealing to people who come from other places around the world. My experience comes from like classical. In high school I did 3 years, and then post high school I did a lot of self-study in flamenco, but this moment I'm not really doing much as I kind of lost a lot of passion for it. It's very hard to challenge myself to learn something new on my instrument, or like to compose. But I'm thinking if I learned more in general, have more tools in my tool belt, then I could probably just come out with some unique stuff, and hopefully I kind of break down some like Orientalist and white supremacist stuff within the music. For instance, like the classical, I'm trying to think. Flamenco guitar was the way to play guitar at one point, and the guy who revolutionized the classical guitar, I forget his name, but if there's a classical guitarist, or I will put it down, he just says, oh, they're just banging on their guitars, and to me it's like, are you kidding me? The reason why flamenco is the way it is because the guitar is a Spanish instrument, and there's certain things that are easier to do on it, so you might as well do those things. But I could go on and on and on about that, but I think it's just important to embody all kinds of things and, to be the best person I can. And here I am. If you want to be here for the journey, give me some things to look at, to work on, or whatever. Comment, like, subscribe, and you have a good day. Love y'all.